Tonight, passengers and crew take down a man who brought a shotgun onto a Jetstar flight leaving Avalon.
Millions on edge as tropical cyclone Alfred creeps towards the coast. Special coverage from the danger zone.
The Attorney-General rejects criticism she's too busy to tackle the youth crime crisis.
Ricky Olorensshaw's estranged wife to spend 7 months in prison for operating a Bali brothel.
A man's haunting final moments as the homicide squad investigates a Dandenong death.
And a definitive answer to an age-old question: who really does all the housework?
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. We start with breaking news tonight. A major security scare at Avalon Airport, where a man armed with a shotgun managed to board a Jetstar flight bound for Sydney.
The terrifying incident forced the terminal into lockdown, leaving fellow travellers stranded. Mimi Becker reports.
The moment a fellow passenger and a pilot tackle a man who brought a shotgun onto a plane.
How is this possible?
The man wearing high vis put in a headlock, his pockets are searched. Once restrained, a flight attendant can be seen carrying the butt of the shotgun off the aircraft.
Well, I didn't realise at first. I saw the knife, but I didn't know he had a shotgun. He wasn't letting it go either.
It was the pilot who first noticed the weapon, alerting others to the danger after the man tried to get on the plane, avoiding security and arriving from the tarmac, claiming he needed to do maintenance.
How'd you get to the airport? Saw you jump it. How'd you get here?
There was an old bloke knocked a young bloke to the ground. He did really well.
Other passengers, flight crew and ground staff helping to restrain the man. He's handcuffed by a flight attendant.
Just wait, you get a copper. I'm not letting this hand go.
He's my hero. Yeah, you got big balls.
The frightening incident happening just before 3 p.m. this afternoon on Jetstar flight JQ610 headed for Sydney. The entire terminal shut down as passengers were taken off the plane. Late this afternoon, the man was led in handcuffs to a waiting police wagon. Investigators now desperate to work out how a man with a shotgun could get anywhere near a passenger jet.
Are you worried about why someone with a shotgun and a knife?
Yeah, that's all I've been thinking as to what was his intentions, but I don't think he really knew. He was off his nut.
OK, let's go to Mimi now, who joins us from Avalon. Mimi, we are expecting to hear from police any moment now.
We are, Alicia, and there are lots of questions that need to be answered in regards to this investigation, but the biggest concern is how anyone could make it onto a plane armed with a shotgun and knives. It's understood that passengers were told he didn't enter through security, so that begs the question how he got onto the tarmac and then onto the plane. There is part of that investigation will look into whether he entered via the external perimeter fence of Avalon Airport. That is one of the questions we'll be putting to police tonight. We are expecting to hear from them shortly, and we'll bring you those details as they come to hand, Alicia.
OK, Mimi, we look forward to that. We'll see you soon.
Well, from Brisbane to Byron Bay, the anxious wait continues, but Cyclone Alfred is taking its time.
The powerful system, which has forced millions of people to hunker down, now isn't expected to hit until Saturday morning. Mark Burrows has the latest.
The seas are boiling off the Gold Coast, catching out one woman who nearly lost her dog in the storm surge. Currumbin Surf Club, and the waves are inching towards the road. At Snapper Rocks on the border, 2 boys nearly washed away. Wave watching is becoming dangerous.
It looks like Hawaii, like people get swept off the beach all the time, so if you're anywhere near the ocean, just keep your eye on it.
Alfred, still brewing off the coast, has spooked an entire city. 1,000 schools closed. The Brisbane CBD a ghost town. Empty offices with public transport shut down.
Feels like COVID, but eerie and strange.
There's literally nothing open. Even Hungry Jack's is closed.
A steady number of airlines, including Qantas, have stopped using Brisbane Airport in anticipation of winds exceeding 100 kilometres an hour. Already, Alfred has whipped up an ocean of sea foam on North Stradbroke Island of Brisbane. While many were getting off the island, Becky Maloney returned.
It won't stop them breaking, but if they do break, it will be less dangerous and the clean-up will be easier. I won't be looking for shards of glass for months afterwards.
This is the cyclone viewed from the International Space Station, and monitoring Alfred's every turn and twist the National Situational Room in Canberra.
You can see a bit of a change since yesterday. It's slowed down significantly and nearly stalled overnight.
The cyclone might have stalled, but it's not weakening. Now set to smash the Queensland coast Saturday morning. The PM announcing the Army is on standby with a fleet of high-clearance vehicles.
I intend operating out of here for coming days. Is probably the best place I can be to make sure that there is seamless activity between New South Wales and Queensland.
The Bureau of Meteorology says the cyclone could take up to 6 hours to slowly cross the coast.
We are expecting 2 days, perhaps 2.5 days worth of rainfall as this system both approaches and then weakens and moves inland.
Brisbane might be deserted, but it seems everyone is on the Gold Coast, taking in the once-in-a-generation view. A 12-metre wave was recorded off Main Beach, and this was the scene at Burleigh as waves chewed their way into the dunes. What will it look like in 3 days' time? Mark Burrows, 9 News.
Extraordinary scenes. Let's head to Lily Greer, who's at Cleveland on Brisbane's Bayside this evening. Lily, how are residents preparing there?
Oh, Tom, they're preparing in very creative ways. I can tell you at the moment, this is the most intense the weather has felt all day. You can certainly feel that Alfred is creeping closer to the shoreline slowly but surely. The wind is picking up, the rain is picking up, and the real concern for residents here at Cleveland Point is that storm surge. A bit of a geography lesson. This part of the southeast, it is a long, skinny stretch of real estate that juts out from the Redlands. It is one strip of homes, and they have beach in their backyards and ocean on the other side of the road in their front yard. So they are very worried that water is going to come at them from both sides. They are fortifying their homes with sandbags, but we caught up with one resident earlier today, Perry. There were no sandbags left, so he got creative. Tell me a little bit about the genius behind this great wall you've built here.
Well, we couldn't get sandbags because there was a 5-hour queue, so we just utilised some orphan stock that we had at work at Pro Plaster. And this is base coat that they use for setting compounds. So when it gets wet, it will go hard.
Tom, this landmark you can see behind me, this is the Cleveland Point Lighthouse, and I can tell you there has been a steady stream of cars coming up to the point all day to get a look at what this weather event is doing. A spectacle for now, but we know it is a situation that can turn very serious very fast.
Yeah, nervous waiting game ahead, Lily. Thank you.
Now let's go to Davina Smith, who's further south on the Gold Coast. Davina, you have an update on the forecast for us.
Yeah, Alicia, good evening to you. The Bureau has just updated their forecast for southeast Queensland. They're saying that Tropical Cyclone Alfred is on a collision course with Moreton Island. That's for around 4 a.m. on Saturday morning before hitting just north of the Brisbane CBD. That's a problem because it will dump a huge amount of rain into the catchments and then that will lead down into Brisbane. Here on the Gold Coast, they call it the calm before the storm, and if that's the case, the Gold Coast is in really big trouble. They've got another day and a half of this sort of weather to go before the actual storm hits. Huge swell, erosion on the beaches, there's sea foam, the waves are coming up. It is an incredible spectacle. We've been told to stay at home, but here on the Gold Coast, it's hard to keep people away from the spectacle that is unfolding here. It is truly remarkable, but as I said, the calm before the storm, and you really do wonder how much more the Gold Coast can take.
Yes, indeed. OK, Davina, thank you.
Back home, and Victoria's Attorney-General and Planning Minister is rejecting concerns she has been too busy to focus on our crime crisis. But the opposition believes Sonia Kilkenny must choose one or risk failing at both. State political reporter Heidi Murphy.
A surprise visit to Parliament by the new police chief while the state's chief lawmaker was arguing her case.
My priority as Attorney-General is absolutely community safety.
Minutes earlier, Sonia Kilkenny had been inside with her other hat on.
The extensive community consultation for the 10 pilot activity centre locations.
And the opposition leader believes both jobs are too big.
We have a crime crisis in our state and we have a housing crisis in our state, and the same minister is in charge of both of them.
Asked if she's thought of giving one up so fixing crime could be a focus.
I reject the premise that I'm unable to do that work.
Her colleagues see no issue.
I'll say this about Sonia Kilkenny. She is working incredibly hard.
She's one of our most senior and talented ministers.
She does have to pick one or the other, and at the moment, the government are failing when it comes to crime here in Victoria.
The Premier, on a site tour of the Town Hall train station, was out to railroad her opposite number.
The only person who's working part-time here is a leader of the opposition who can barely get out of bed on any given day, given he barely fronts more than one press conference a week.
To actually come out then and talk about me, I think is just an absolute joke. We need to make sure that we've got a process in place to fix the crime crisis.
There may not be much longer to wait to find out the detail of what the government plans to do about bail. The Attorney-General indicating what started as a 3-month review will be finished much sooner.
It'll be very, 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 very soon.
Heidi Murphy, 9 News.
The former wife of Essendon Premiership star Ricky Olorenshaw will spend less than 7 months in a Balinese jail. The 36-year-old has been found guilty of operating an illegal brothel. Court reporter Amber Johnston has today's developments.
Ushered through the streets of Denpasar, handcuffed to a co-accused, eyes wide open. There was a lot at stake for Neetha Olorenshaw, but there was no preparing her for this moment. The mother of 2 was facing up to 12 years in Bali's infamous Kerobokan prison, but today the 36-year-old was sentenced to 7 months jail after she was found guilty of operating an illegal brothel in Seminyak with another Indonesian woman. Throughout the trial, Neetha was adamant her estranged husband Ricky Olorenshaw should be the one in handcuffs, claiming she was a scapegoat for the former Essendon star and 3 other men who she says owned the business. The former bomber moved to the Gold Coast right before police carried out the anti-prostitution raids, his ex criticising him for abandoning her and their children.
It's a delicate and complicated situation, Tom.
Neetha told the court Olorenshaw was the mastermind behind the business and he used her name for paperwork. She claims when they separated, his business partners threatened to put her in jail if she didn't pay out dividends, allegations he says are false and inaccurate. It comes as Melbourne couple Michael and Linley Legrand were jailed for running another illegal brothel in Kuta. The husband and wife from Sandringham were given the same sentence of 7 months jail because they were honest and showed remorse. Amber Johnston, 9 News.
Mystery surrounds the death of a 52-year-old man found unconscious with severe head injuries on Dandenong Street. The homicide squad is investigating whether he was the victim of a brutal assault. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris.
This is one of the last moments Michael Bushby was seen alive. The 52-year-old left the Dandenong motel and never returned.
Located in 5th Avenue, Dandenong, with significant head injuries. He was then conveyed to the Alfred Hospital where he died of those injuries.
The man from Alexandra, near Lake Gilden, was staying at the motel with his girlfriend. After leaving his room on Friday morning, he walked along Birdwood Avenue looking fit and well. Mr Bushby was then found by a member of the public, unconscious, nearly 5 hours later.
At this stage, we do believe that he was assaulted and sustained significant head injuries.
But the results of the autopsy are unclear.
We are open-minded to there may have been other things that may have occurred.
Shocked because I haven't seen anything like that happening here.
His 50-year-old partner reported him missing in the morning. She told police it's not uncommon for Michael to go for walks during the night.
Suffered significant cramping in his legs, so he would regularly go for a walk.
Police haven't been able to find any footage of the victim's final movements. They're hoping anyone in the area at the time with dashcam or CCTV can come forward and help with their investigation.
We have had a number of people that have been out and about on foot at that time, walking around in the streets, so if those persons could make themselves known to police.
Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
A group of brazen thieves have rammed a car through the Dior boutique on Collins Street. Penelope Lears joins us now from the city. Penny, they fled the store with several luxury items.
Alicia, the exact cost of this robbery is still being tallied. Tonight, the Dior shop is boarded up with security on the door, but you can see just a few hours ago the smashed glass throughout this high-end fashion house. bags on the floor as well as mannequins strewn around as well. Police say it was around 5:30 this morning that a black sedan rammed into the front glass. It's not known how many thieves took part in this robbery, but they've made off with a number of items. Anyone with information is being urged to contact Crime Stoppers.
OK, Penny, thank you.
Tensions are rapidly deteriorating between China and the United States, with Beijing declaring it's prepared to go to war with America.
The alarming words reflect China's fury over Donald Trump's trade tariffs and coincides with a dramatic boost to its defence spending. National Affairs Editor Andrew Probyn.
China's President Xi Jinping commands the latest session of the National People's Congress, the calculated show of unity and strength, contrasting with the chaos caused by Donald Trump's treatment of America's allies and strategic partners.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
The world entering a dangerous new era, Beijing announcing a 7.2% increase to its defence spending after the US president increased tariffs on Chinese imports.
If war is what the US wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end.
A threatening message repeated by China's diplomats in Washington.
We're ready to fight till the end. As Secretary of Defense, how do you take that?
Well, we're prepared. Those who long for peace must prepare for war.
Australia's military preparedness tested by 3 Chinese warships conducting live fire drills and a circumnavigation of the continent.
That, God forbid, a war could happen.
Elbridge Colby, Donald Trump's choice for US defence policy advisor, saying Australia's defence spending is well below the 3% of GDP the President expects.
We need to get to 3% of defence spending because it's in our national security interests.
Our defence policy is to increase our defence expenditure. That's what we're doing.
China isn't the only defence challenge. Under Donald Trump, the US is retreating as Western Europe's security guarantor, which means all of America's traditional allies will have to step up if Russia is to be defeated. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
The antics are already underway at this year's Moomba parade on the Yarra River, with the Monarchs, Sushi Mango, preparing to take part in the annual Birdman competition.
One of us is going to jump off. We don't know who yet. We draw salami. Whoever gets the shot to salami, jump.
Organisers are expecting more than 1 million people will attend across the 5-day event, and we'll be crossing to Livinia at Moomba for a check of the weather a little bit later on.
Who is not in the Birdman rally, but Nath Curry is, so we'll be right behind him as well. Right now, though, it is over to Tony with a look ahead to sport, and Tony is live at Carlton's Hall of Fame night. Tony?
Good on you, Alicia. Good evening to you, Tom. Yeah, it's going to be a terrific night here, that's for sure. 2 favourites of the Carlton Footy Club, Mark Murphy and Cade Simpson, of course, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. 2 existing members will be elevated to legend status. One of those is the great David Parkin. Now, he arrived at Princes Park and almost immediately delivered 2 premierships. Back-to-back they were in 81 and 82. He then went away to Fitzroy, came back again for a second stint and enjoyed premiership success as a coach in 1995. So, well, you can understand why he's being elevated to legend status tonight. When Parko first arrived at Princes Park, he took over from a bloke named Peter Percy Jones, and he too will become a legend of his club tonight, having played 249 games across 13 seasons. And I saw him once described as part actor, part comedian, part ruckman. But he was a very, very good ruckman, having been understudy to John Nichols for so long, and then became an out-and-out champion in his own right. Tonight, he becomes a legend. OK, Carlton season kicks off this time next week over at the G against Richmond. But there's a couple of other matches to get us going, albeit in an abbreviated opening round. Tom Morris is standing by to tease us with the teams, Tom.
Yeah, Tony, the teams are in for the 2 games this weekend. There's no room for a premiership star at Hawthorn, while Sydney and Collingwood both have fresh faces, and I'll have all the details on that later in sport.
All right, look forward to it, Tom. Also coming up, the Tigers' top draft pick, aiming for a round 1 get up and go. Melbourne United, well, they're in grand final mode, and a couple of Aussie cricket greats prove they've still got it. Now, before I go, we love knowing what the menu is at functions like this. And what about this? They do it well at Carlton. Entrees, heirloom tomatoes, basil oil and papa al pomodoro. Main is chicken bollatine with lemon and tarragon stuffing, roast cauliflower puree and burnt Brussels sprouts. I'll tell you what, the chef's got a get-out clause already by the sounds of it.
Sounds delightful, Tony.
Don't think we'll see Tony judging on MasterChef anytime soon, but...
It's a work in progress. Yeah. We'll come back to you soon, Tony. When Melbourne's 9 News returns, firebugs use a car to ram their way into a Tullamarine detailing business.
Alarm in Europe as America pauses intelligence sharing with Ukraine.
And a jewellery thief gulps down a pair of earrings worth more than $1 million.
Intruders have driven a car into a Tullamarine detailing business and deliberately torched it just before dawn this morning. It took 80 firefighters 2 hours to get the blaze under control.
People who do this, my personal opinion, it's just cowardly acts. Just let people just run their business and just verbally say what you have to say to them rather than burn their shops down. Arson
chemists have been on site today.
Led by France, European leaders are tonight exploring the potential of nuclear deterrence, fearing Russia will take advantage of America's changing foreign policy. As Reid Butler reports, they're nervous after the US paused the sharing of CIA intelligence with Ukraine.
First, the flow of US weapons into Ukraine was suspended. Now, so has the transfer of critical CIA intelligence.
President Trump had a real question about whether President Zelensky was committed to the peace process, and he said, let's pause.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky trying to fight his way back into Washington's good books. He's close to signing a Donald Trump-backed deal that would give the US access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. We're seeing forward momentum. We hope to see the first results next week, he said.
The president is committed to a peace deal. He wants to see this war end.
Do you worry that Donald Trump is about to hand Ukraine on a platter to who?
We need to stand with Ukraine in support of their national sovereignty, but also in support of the international rule of law.
Tomorrow in Brussels, there'll be emergency talks, the French president boosting military budgets and prepared to explore the idea of opening up his nation's nuclear deterrent to European allies in the wake of shifting US policy and fears of an emboldened Russia. Emmanuel Macron sounding the alarm in a prime-time televised address. Who can believe that the Russia of today will stop at Ukraine? Russia has become a threat to France and Europe. I deeply regret this, he said. Now the UK, France and Ukraine are finalising a strategy to end the war. The European leaders could present a peace plan to the White House within days, and this time Volodymyr Zelensky will potentially be joined by UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron in an effort to avoid a repeat of last week's Oval Office bust-up. Europe's future is not to be decided in Washington or Moscow, Macron said. But as negotiations continue, it's Donald Trump's diplomacy changing the game. At the White House, Reid Butler, 9 News.
And Donald Trump has issued an ultimatum to Hamas, insisting it's on its last warning and urging it to release the remaining hostages in Gaza. After meeting recently released captives, the president said there'll be hell to pay if the rest aren't set free. The White House, meanwhile, has confirmed it has entered direct talks with Hamas for the first time.
A man in Florida has taken breakfast at Tiffany's a bit too literally, swallowing 2 diamond earrings after allegedly stealing them from the high-end jewellers. They're valued at more than $1 million and went straight down the hatch during his arrest. Police are now waiting for the expensive trinkets to re-emerge. Livinia Nixon is at Moomba this evening. She joins us now, and Livinia just gets bigger and bigger every year.
And brighter, Tom. Absolutely. Moomba has been running since 1955 and it's the country's largest free community festival. It takes over the banks of the Yarra River for 5 days, jam-packed with family fun. The carnival is a crowd favourite. There's popular rides for all ages and lots on offer to keep the kids entertained. And festival highlights include the Birdman Rally with our very own Nathan Curry preparing to take flight. The Moomba Parade returns on Monday, nightly fireworks and the world's best water skiers will compete in the Moomba Masters. Now, the sunshine finally made an appearance just after the gates opened. It's going to feature a lot more tomorrow, and I'll let you know what we can expect for the rest of the Moomba long weekend a little later, Tom and Alicia.
Look forward to that, Livinia. We'll come back to you soon. Coming up for you, a live update on the Avalon shotgun scare. Now, police have just revealed extraordinary details about the alleged gunman. Plus, $1 billion pledge to fix the pothole-ridden Western Freeway.
Blokes failing to close the housework gap despite both genders working longer hours.
The Australian adventurer's in trouble with police after climbing a volcano.
And Prince William checks up on health workers 5 years on from the pandemic.
OK, returning to our top story for you tonight, and a teenager has been arrested after bringing a shotgun onto a plane at Avalon Airport.
We're going to go back to Mimi Becker, who is on scene for us. Mimi, you've just spoken with police. Take us through what they've told us about this alleged offender and how exactly he got on the aircraft.
Tom, police have revealed that the gunman is a 17-year-old man from Victoria. They have said that he managed to break through the external perimeter fence here at Avalon Airport, around 2 kilometres from the main terminal, and then made his way onto the tarmac, climbing on board that flight armed with a shotgun. Police said they couldn't confirm if he had knives on him, but passengers have confiscated some knives from that 17-year-old man. Police are now working with counter-terrorism teams as they investigate this incident. The airport has been shut down as well. All Jetstar flights cancelled in and out of Avalon. Police have set up a crime scene where that 17-year-old man's car was located, as well as they continue to investigate this security breach at Avalon Airport.
There is a hole in the fence, whether he's breached that himself by cutting it or whether it's already occurred, but that's why we believe that he may breach the fence. We are talking to Counter-Terrorism Command. The male isn't known to us. We're also talking to AFP, but at the moment, Crime Command with Victoria Police.
Police will remain here at Avalon Airport for some time. It is expected the 17-year-old will be charged, but at this stage it's not known if he is cooperating with the investigation. Police have commended the pilot, the passengers, and in particular the passenger who intervened to help take down this 17-year-old. Tom and Alicia.
OK, Mimi, thank you. Well, the Albanese government will inject $1.1 billion of Commonwealth funding into an upgrade of the Western Freeway. Labor is making the investment as it works to restore support in Melbourne's west before the federal election.
There are thousands of people travelling on this road every single day, and the road hasn't quite kept up.
This cash injection of $1.1 billion allows us to get going and get shovels in the ground.
The RACV rates the pothole-ridden road as one of the most dangerous in Victoria.
For many, this wouldn't come as a surprise, but new research has revealed Australian men are slacking off when it comes to chores around the home. In fact, as Ollie Haig explains, they're not doing any more housework now than they were doing 20 years ago.
Running around with 2 kids, Courtney Galajore is exhausted.
Cleaning, shopping, cooking.
You must be tired.
Yeah, we're in the cusp of no sleep at the moment. Who does more work at home, me or Daddy? Mummy.
Turns out Courtney isn't alone. A University of Melbourne survey of 17,000 Australians finding while women are working significantly more than ever before and doing 5 hours less housework than 20 years ago, men haven't picked up the slack at home, despite spending slightly more time at their jobs. As for caring for loved ones, both are slightly up, with women still doing the heavy lifting.
Cleaning robots now, that might take a part of the work, but maybe some of the work is just not being done anymore.
How do you divide it up between the two of you?
I think probably about 20-60. Yeah, so yeah.
As in you're 20?
I'm on 20, yeah.
The research also shows men are generally satisfied with how the work is divided up, whereas women feel they do more than their fair share at home. So why aren't men getting their hands dirty? Well, in short, because experts say they want to work, even in the case of paid parental leave available when they have a child.
They tend to earn more than their female partners, and so a family cannot really forego much of the father's income for a longer time.
What's your favourite chore?
Can I start with my least? My least favourite is I don't like bed making.
I'm lucky my partner works from home and he's also a very good cook and a fastidious cleaner.
Ollie Haig, 9 News.
3 Australian tourists have been fined and banned after illegally climbing a volcano in Indonesia. They were filmed on Sunday ascending Mount Rinjani, which has been closed due to recent rain. Indonesia has made an example of them, urging other visitors to comply with local rules.
Pope Francis has started Lent in hospital as his health continues to slowly improve. The pontiff is still in a stable condition, with the Vatican reporting he spent the day in an armchair. The 88-year-old has not suffered any further respiratory failures but requires ventilation at night.
Prince William has paid a visit to the Royal Berkshire Hospital where his wife Catherine was born. The future king saw firsthand the impact of $325 million worth of fundraising that started when COVID hit. He also checked in with staff to see how they're coping 5 years on from the pandemic.
Still ahead in the news, the Firefighters Union slams a jump in spending on consultants as trucks break down.
Why women are proving more susceptible to dementia than men.
The Super Servo now open as Costco moves from Docklands to Ardea.
And our tribute to legendary tennis player and commentator Fred Stolle.
Fire Rescue Victoria's annual report has revealed consultant spending has increased by nearly 800% in 3 years to $32 million. The union says the money is better spent on broken trucks and the safety of members.
And here you have a frolly expenditure of money, $30 million to consultants, unfettered, unaccountable use of public money for fire service. We say there needs to be a parliamentary inquiry.
The Emergency Services Minister says there's a need for consultants following incidents like the cyber attack in 2022, and he's not sure what a parliamentary inquiry would achieve.
New clues tonight into why the burden of dementia is more profound in women. A study led by Harvard researchers found strong evidence that a toxic protein in the brain doesn't build up as rapidly in men. It's still unclear what's driving the difference, but the findings could pave the way for more personalised treatments.
A global benchmark oil price has fallen to its lowest level in 3 years, raising the prospect of relief at the bowser for Melbourne motorists. Here's Effie Zahos.
The price of Brent crude oil has slipped below $70 a barrel, and there are 2 reasons why. Global demand is falling. At the same time, OPEC looks to increase supply. And if Donald Trump's drill baby drill push works, well, even more supply is coming. Aussie petrol prices don't strictly track Brent crude, but the NRMA says we should expect some relief in the coming weeks. Woodside and Santos suffered the most from the price weakness, dragging the ASX down. Myer bounced after Morgan Stanley said its share price could double under new management. And the Aussie dollar, well, it jumped past 63 US cents as fears of US recession rises amid trade tensions.
The biggest petrol station in the Southern Hemisphere has just opened in Melbourne's west, but you need a Costco membership to use one of the 38 pumps. It's part of the Bulk Buy brand's new location at Ardea.
It's going to be a very big footprint. It's probably the biggest footprint in Australia, 16,000 square metres worth of retail space.
The warehouse will welcome customers on April 9, replacing the retailer's first store in Docklands.
The sporting world is mourning Fred Stolle, a giant of world tennis. Stolle had an outstanding career as a player, but became truly loved as a broadcaster of the game. Chris Hodgkinson compiled this tribute.
The images were black and white, but the era was golden for Australian tennis, and Fred Stolle held his own in a period when the likes of Rod Laver, Ken Rosewall and John Newcombe ruled the courts of the world.
One of the great Australian players. He gets lost because he was in an era of so many greats.
A tall man with a serve as powerful as his wooden racket could generate, Stolle won 2 Grand Slam singles titles, the 1965 French Open and 1966 US Open. He won another 17 major titles on doubles courts and was also a member of 3 successful Australian Davis Cup teams. His on-court temperament earned Stolly the nickname Fiery, but as a television performer, he was cool and calm. His analysis as accurate as a volley from his playing days.
Steffi Graf, what more can you say about Graf's serve? It's one of the best in women's tennis.
As part of Nine's Wide World of Sports team, he was a fixture on our screens for decades and was also a highly regarded commentator in America.
When I'm growing up and watching Wimbledon at home as a young kid, he's on the TV leading the coverage with Tony Trabert and with John Newcombe. They were the voice of Wimbledon for Channel 9.
For his services on the court and behind the microphone, he was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame and in 2005 received an Order of Australia. Fred Stolly passed away aged 86.
An absolute icon of the game that we're going to miss dearly.
Chris Hodgkinson, 9 News.
And sport is up next with TJ live from Carlton's Hall of Fame night. TJ?
Thanks, Alicia. You know, even as a Collingwood supporter, you can't help but be impressed with some of the names here. There's Stephen Kernahan. He's got his back to us there. There's the great Jimmy Buckley over there. Jimmy's there. David Rees-Jones just over here. And the list goes on and on and on. One by one, they're coming in. And we'll catch up with one of the men who'll be inducted as a legend tonight, Percy Jones. After the break, we'll also catch up with the current day Blue. Among our other stories after the break, a dairy farmer from Inverloch set to make his AFL debut this weekend. Why Brodie Myercheck is hungrier than ever ahead of opening round. And forget the Champions Trophy, the All Boys get the job done against India. Welcome back to Carlton's Hall of Fame night. As I mentioned earlier, 2 Hall of Fame members for the Blues to be elevated to legend status. One, David Parkin. The other, this man, Percy Jones. Well, Perce, must be a very proud night for you tonight.
Indeed it is, Jonesy. It's amazing all these years at Carlton, and finally I've got it at the ripe old age of 78, and now I'm here. I'm amongst all the champions.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there are plenty of champions here. This man, Mitch McGovern, in years to come might be a Hall of Famer as well, maybe even a legend. Blues fans certainly think so. What a night to be surrounded by names like every second person here is a famous name.
Yeah, it's a fantastic night, a ripping way to start our year off as a footy club, and as you mentioned, some fantastic names floating about, and not to mention Murph and Simo being inducted tonight, but the legend status of Parko and Percy as well. It's pretty exciting.
It probably acts as a form of motivation too, isn't it, when you see the likes of multiple premiership players. Sticks is over here, Jimmy Buckley, David, Jeff Southby, David Rees-Jones.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something we strive for every year to hopefully edge your way into history of the footy club winning a premiership. So to follow their suit, we're pretty special.
This time next week, you'll be right to go. You had a little bit of a scare there.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. So a bit of a phantom scare, as Charlie Kerno calls it. So all good, and hopefully get selected for round 1.
It was a pretty impressive mark, though.
Yeah, I'll take them ones, but wasting them in pre-season, everyone's telling me. So, but no, it was good. Good to be out there.
Others aren't so lucky in the injury department. Aside from that, how is the confidence levels?
Yeah, no, we're going really well. We've put a lot of work over the pre-season. With that work come together last week against the GWS, and we're looking forward to cracking in and getting to the hard work.
Good on you, mate. Enjoy the night.
Thanks, Tony.
Good on you, mate. Mitch McGovern joining us there. All right, well, it is an abbreviated opening round, isn't it? Just the 2 matches, but the teams are in. Tom Morris is all across it. And Tom, any surprises?
Maybe a couple, Tony. Hawthorn has named Jack Gunston as an emergency, while Josh Battle, Tom Barrass and Will Day are in for the Hawks. They, of course, will play their first game for the club. Not Will Day, the other 2 will. Brodie Grundy's fit for Sydney. Tom Hanley will debut, and Ben Patton will play his first game since crossing from 71 games at the Saints. Dan Houston's still suspended for Collingwood, but they've got Tim Membry in the squad, and Harry Perriman looks set to debut for the Pies as well. Now to the fixture. We knew that Brisbane and Geelong would be in round 3. It will be Saturday night at 6:35 local time at the Gabba. The real question was where Gold Coast versus Essendon would sit. The current round 24 games, Suns versus Port and Essendon versus Carlton, will be played at the start of the round, and the rescheduled Gold Coast Essendon game at the bottom will likely be on the Tuesday or the Wednesday night as the last match of the home and away season. Andrew Dillon said today we had a focus on having the least amount of disruption on the competition, ensuring that all clubs still have a mid-season bye and managing travel arrangements. So that's done. But at St Kilda, Mitch Owens has signed a 4-year contract extension. He's locked in, Tony, until the end of 2029.
All right, good work, Chief Fitter reporter Tom Morris there. Now, I've got to sort of keep this a bit quiet, but Collingwood's Brodie Myercheck says he's hungrier than ever as he gets set for his first AFL match since July. Myercheck played only 11 games in 2024 before a pec injury ended his season.
The injury sort of made the hunger come back a bit. Missed a lot of footy and it was a bit frustrating, but you sort of learn what you're made of when you get those types of injuries and how you bounce back. So, hungrier than ever.
At Tigerland, number 1 draft pick Sam Layla is closing in on a round 1 debut. He trained with the main group today after breaking his jaw last month. To basketball now, and the good folk at Melbourne United are hoping that experience will certainly be the difference in the NBL Championship Series when they take on the Illawarra Hawks. Skipper Chris Golding is looking to claim his 3rd title with the club.
The message and the mindset is the same. Do your job, do it to the best of your ability, and can you as a group play good basketball when we need it?
The 5-game series gets underway in Wollongong on Saturday. And in cricket, finally, former Australian all-rounder Shane Watson, well, in many ways, he turned the clocks back. This was extraordinary stuff. This, playing against India and cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar, no less, in the International Masters League. Watto smashed a ton in the Aussies' 87-run win.
That's going to be another one. And this time, it's gone a long, long way into the crowd.
Meanwhile, New Zealand will face India in the Champions Trophy final after beating South Africa by 50 runs in their semi. All right, that wraps. Now, just when you thought there was no footy tonight, couldn't be anything further from the truth. There is. 7:30 tonight on Channel 9. It's an NRL blockbuster. The Brisbane Broncos up against the Roosters. I'd ask for a tip or two around here, but it should be great viewing anyway.
Well played, Tony. Good stuff. All right, time now to check in with Livinia again at Moomba. It should be a nice night there, Livinia.
Oh, yes, Tom. It's very mild and humid here at the moment and should still be around 23 degrees for this evening's fireworks at 9. It'll be another cloudy start to the day tomorrow, but will clear much earlier than today. Then the Moomba long weekend is looking dry and warm. I'll have the full forecast for you next. Hello again from Moomba. The festival is in its 71st year and is officially open for business. The Carnival Precinct is already in full swing with thrill seekers, food lovers and families getting in early to savour everything Moomba has to offer. Around 1.3 million people are expected to visit between now and Monday, and the program is packed with free activities and attractions for all ages. It's been rather muggy today with the sunshine finally breaking through. That gave the city's temperature a late boost up to 23.5. Geelong was much the same, reaching 24. Yarra Glen was easily our warmest suburb with a top of 29, while Frankston and Ringwood both peaked at 27. Drizzly skies this morning extended across southern Victoria before sunny breaks developed this afternoon. Daytime temperatures were close to average in the low to mid-20s and warmer in the north, around 35 along the Murray. Elsewhere, tropical cyclone Alfred continues to head towards the coast, now around 245 kilometres east of Brisbane. It's lashing parts of southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales with powerful winds, massive waves and abnormally high tides. So far, there's been rainfall totals of almost 300 millimetres, but the worst is yet to come. The Category 2 system has slowed down and is now expected to make landfall during the early hours of Saturday morning between Noosa and Coolangatta. For Brisbane tomorrow, between 25 and 80 millimetres of rain and the potential for severe storms, flash flooding and destructive winds above 130 kilometres an hour. Sydney can expect a shower or two and a top of 27 degrees, cloudy and 24 in Canberra, 23 in Hobart. Adelaide will be sunny, heading for 34 and a top of 31 on the way for Perth. Back home, maximums across most of Victoria will have a 3 in front. Mildura leading the pack with a top of 36, 34 in Swan Hill and Horsham. There'll be plenty of sunshine across the board, slightly milder near the coast, heading for the mid-20s. Here in Melbourne, cloudy skies should clear by 11 a.m, which will help temperatures take a jump. Most suburbs should hit 30 degrees. It'll be a bit breezy along the Mornington Peninsula, but otherwise a good beach day. For Geelong, a low of 17 and top of 27. In the city, mostly sunny with a top of 29. It won't be as humid as today, and the weather is looking perfect for the Moomba long weekend, especially Saturday. Blue skies and 32 degrees. 32 again on Sunday, but a bit more cloud about. The nights will also be warm, only dropping to 21 before a top of 29 on Monday. The same on Tuesday, 29 degrees, 30 on Wednesday and 29 next Thursday. So the weather is playing its part for Moomba. Tom and Alicia.
Looks unbelievable, Livinia. Thank you. And that is 9 News this Thursday. Ali is up next with the current affair, and we will have more for you on the shotgun scare at Avalon Airport. That's coming up in the late news.
For now, though, we hope you have a great evening. From all the team here, it's good night.